Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the U.S. Town Hall Business Inside the Game, where big dreams happen. U.S. is a platform where we believe that if you wish it, you dream it, it will come true. A multicultural platform for multicultural storytellers and an opportunity to celebrate culture through the lens of the people who come from that space. So, happy to partner with all of our partners today and to bring you a special guest, a big dreamer, a guy who's my mentor, I look up to, I fan out. It took us almost an hour to get to this 30-minute interview. He is the founder of PENSOLE Academy. He was a designer for the Jordan brand in the height of his era. As you can see, all the collaborations from Michael Jordan to Carmelo Anthony, from the U.S., the U.S. shoe to, some of your favorite sneakers that you've ever tried to collect or wanted to collect. And I think, the pioneer of what we would call sneaker culture, none other than Dwayne Edwards from PENSOLE Academy.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you for doing this.
Of course, man.
Awesome,
of course.
Yeah, so getting into it, tell us a little bit about, PENSOLE, and tell us about, where you started, and just walk us through that journey, and then we'll have some questions to kind of get into things.
Sure. So I would say, man, so first of all, I'm from Englewood, California, man. So
Englewood.
Every once in a while, you were able to creep over on that side of Crenshaw to come hang out. But man, growing up as you said, dude, a big dreamer, and I think it took me a while to understand that dreams are free, and the only limitations we put on ourselves is how big we can dream of what we can do and what we can be. And growing up in Englewood in the 80s, the Forum, there was no practice facility. So the Lakers practiced at Englewood High School. Yeah. So I would come to school seeing Magic and Kareem and Coop. So I was like, damn, maybe I can get to the league one day, because that was what I saw every single day. Well, I stopped growing at 6'1", jumping straight though, but I found another vehicle, and that vehicle was just a pencil and drawing. And when you draw or you're an artist, it's not as sexy as playing ball. It's not something quote unquote the cool kids do, so to speak. But it was my sanctuary to growing up in Englewood in the 80s was wild, dude. So it was my sanctuary just to be safe at times, but it ended up becoming, what saved my life, bro, for real. I mean, that number 2 pencil got me out the wood and allowed me to travel all over the world, only to come right back, right? Only to come right back to show kids what it looks like to leave the city and do the things that you've heard about or seen on TV, but then let them see that someone who looks like them had the same dreams and same aspirations that they had, that is possible. And for me, my dream was to be a footwear designer, youngest of 6 kids raised by a single parent. College wasn't in my future, couldn't even afford to go to college, still got on at a really early age, got into the industry and worked at multiple brands along the way. And I kind of went back to my old 17-year-old self of, man, I wish I had a school to go to that I could design footwear. And so once I got into the industry and a few years in, 20 years in, I was like, man, let me go back and figure out what would a school look like that just taught footwear. Because at that point, the internet happened and kids were sending me sketches of what they want their Jordans to look like. And so I just tested this idea of what a school would look like that I wish I would have attended, as a kid growing up in Englewood.
That's amazing. I love the statement that dreams are free, right? And with You Wish, we believe in dreaming, and we also believe that when you do dream, people come into your life to support you in that dream. Can you talk about growing up in Englewood? Excuse me. Can you talk about what growing up in Englewood was like, right? your dream to be a sneaker designer, and then who was integral or inspiring to you to help you, like, support you in that dream? Who saw that dream for you that kept you going?
Well, of course, mom's always,
Absolutely.
she believes in you before you can see anything in yourself, right? So definitely, I would say number one would be my mom. And then I had two older brothers that were also gifted with the same dream, the same skill of being an artist. They both passed by the time I was 19. And so they never got a chance to do anything with their gift of art. So in a lot of ways, I had to grow up a lot faster with the mindset of I need to have the career that they never had a chance to have. And so my mental started to shift towards, yeah, all my boys, I was out hanging out, doing stuff I shouldn't be doing. But I realized that, I'm going to get caught up like my brothers got caught up and some of my best friends got caught up. And it, honestly, not only was it my mom and my two brothers, but it was the haters that I had. So I had people that didn't think I was going to be anything. And then they would tell me I wasn't going to be anything. And instead of me believing it, I used it as a source of motivation to, if anything, just to prove them wrong. And so I had several folks that from guidance counselors at Englewood to my manager at McDonald's when I was flipping burgers. they were just like, you should just stay here. It's like the old McDonald's Coming to America, right? Like you just stay here, you become a manager, you can have your own store, and I'm like, nah, that's not what I want to do. But no, I would say it was obviously the foundation of family, and then quite honestly, it was those people who didn't tell me I was going to be anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. Helicopter. Can you guys hear the helicopter? Okay. So tell us about, your journey as the youngest sneaker designer in the U.S., right? Fun fact. And then becoming Nike's youngest design director for Jordan.
Yeah, man. So
fun facts.
So like I mentioned, man, I couldn't afford to go to college. And so I actually gave up on the idea of being a designer. And I graduated from Englewood, started working at a temp agency, filing papers in the accounts payable department. And my second job was at a footwear company called LA Gear. Okay. And so when I went there, and I'm just like, man, this is a footwear company. Let me see if I can try to get on. And I'm talking to the people there, and they was like, well, you need to have a college education, and you need to do all these things. And, so I got depressed because I was like, I know I'm never going to be able to have that college education. And so about a month in, they put these wooden suggestion boxes in every department. And actually, I have one of them in back where they wanted the employees of the company to give them ideas and ways to make the company better. And so for me, my idea was to become a footwear designer at LA Gear. So I would sketch shoes on a 3x5 index card. And every day before I went into my file clerk job, I would just drop a sketch in there every day for 6 months. And one day I get, because back then, like, there was no email, right? So if somebody needs you, they just set it over the intercom. So everybody heard it, right? So I heard, like, Dwayne Edwards report to the president's office. And I'm just like, damn, like, did I really mess up filing that bad that the president needs to see me?
Right.
And he had all 180 of my sketches on his desk. And he was like, I heard you're the one that's been doing this. And I'm like, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt what you guys were doing. He was like, no, I appreciate you doing that. He said, well, what college did you graduate from? And I was like, man, I just graduated from Englewood about 7 months ago, high school. And he was like, oh, wow. He said, all right, well, I like your ambition. I want to give you a chance to see what you could do. And so right after my 19th birthday, he gave me a job. And from that moment on, that became my college. Right. So I learned on the job from all the people that had the college degrees. I just sucked up all the information, knowledge that they had every single day. To whereas I passed them up because I was just the ultimate sponge, because I was, quote unquote, the young black kid charity case, so to speak. Right. And So I was like, all right, take that, but I'm gonna take everything you got too, though, right? And,
Yep.
and so I use that as a platform to learn the skill and learn the craft. Left there, started at the owner of the company's name is Robert Greenberg. He left. He started a brand called Skechers. Before I left and he left, I said, man, you need to connect with these two brands called Cross Colors and Carl Kanai because they're about to blow up. And so he got the licensing rights to do Cross Colors and Carl Kanai footwear, and he asked me to head up the whole division.
Oh, wow.
So in 92 to 96, I was doing all the Cross Colors and Carl Kanai footwear. So here I am, 21, 22 years old, working with Tupac, working with Biggie, working with Snoop and Dre, all before, you know, they got put on to this mega platform.
Right.
So I did that, and then I left, and Nike called, and I came up here to Oregon because I consider myself one of the better ones in the industry, but I needed to be around what I thought was the best. And I thought the best was up here, even though, you know, coming from LA, you know, I didn't know anything about Oregon, but cows and trees. So that was pretty much true. But I came up to be around the best, and I want to put my skills against the best. And I realized in a short period of time that I had an advantage that they did not have, whereas I was Black.
Right.
And I was young, and that's who they were trying to design for.
Right.
And so I was the person they were trying to design for, and I had the ability to do that. So within 1 year, I left Nike and joined Jordan. They asked me to come and be a part of the Jordan brand, and I was there for 11 years.
But that was like when Jordan brand first started, right?
Yeah,
Correct?
yeah. When I got there, Jordan was $275 million. And when I left, we were 1.3 billion.
Right.
So we grew $1 billion bucks in 11 years.
And talk to me about like when you kind of like now you're in, you put yourself around the best, right? You never stop becoming a sponge, right? Now here's this opportunity, and it's your first opportunity at Jordan. You know, what was that like? What was your thought process? What did you bring with you, right, that you learned along the way that just gave you the confidence to own that, you know, that leadership position?
I would say hunger, man. Like I've never felt comfortable, right? So I always felt like I had to overperform. I always felt like I had to always prove that I belonged. And so it was, I would say, just a straight up hunger that I had because I wasn't technically supposed to be there. If you put me on a piece of paper, I'm not supposed to be there. And so for me, the opportunity was to prove that I belonged to be there. And I proved that I belonged to be on that stage. And I mean, you've met Mike before. Dude is competitive as hell. Like what you saw in The Last Dance was him normally, right?
Right.
So being able to have a moment where it's like, damn, I got to design something for Mike and present it to him.
Yeah.
And know that, because, you know, he won his first chip in Englewood. And so for me, it was like, I've admired him as an opponent because I was a Lakers fan, right? And so for me, it was just being humble and hungry. I mean, I never felt like I belonged. I never took anything for granted, and I always felt like I had to prove myself. And so every day I was there, I came to deliver, and in some ways picked up his mentality in a lot of ways of wanting to be great and wanting to overwork and outwork people.
Yeah, I think that's super key, you know, because when you talk about the levels and the layers, right, and the confidence, but also like feeding off somebody like a Michael Jordan and like having other people push you. What are some of the other athletes that, you know, that you exchange kind of like values with, and some of the ones you love working with?
So Melo was instrumental because we started working together when he was a rookie. So the first 8 years, if he was in the league, we worked together. I loved how humble and hood he was, man. I mean, he was just a normal dude, and he consistently stayed that way. and appreciated that part about him. And in my process of designing product for him, he in some ways became one of my first students because I was showing him everything I was doing for him, right? It wasn't, I would just draw it and say, here's your shoe. Like, nah, this is yours. We have to communicate, make this thing come to life.
Absolutely.
So I like the authenticity that he had. Derek Jeter had vision, bro. Like, he was so focused. He told me 20 years ago he wanted to own a baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, now he's the first.
Absolutely.
He specifically said, I want to be the first Black owner of a baseball team.
And he did that.
And he did it, right? And he did it through laser focus in the brightest city on the planet, right? And so he was so focused on that goal. He didn't spend a lot of money. He knew that was his end game. And I love that laser focus and vision that he had. And then I would probably say the other one would be Roy Jones. Just his commitment to his craft was just insane, bro. I mean, watching this dude train the way, like I couldn't even see the punches dude was throwing. You could just hear it, right? You could just hear him. But he was two different people. When he got into the ring, he was going to destroy you. But outside of the ring, he was the nicest person you ever want to meet.
Absolutely.
So just understanding that balance of being able to lock in, like that stuck with me because it becomes that moment when it's time for you to do what you need to do. You need to be all in. And then
I love that. And so when you decided, right, 11 years into Jordan, I need to walk away, right? I'm going to go all in, right? Why did you decide to create PENSOLE Footwear Design Academy?
Because when I got in '89, I was the second Black person in the whole industry designing footwear. And 23 years later, there was less than 100 of us. And that imbalance just didn't make sense considering how much of us were endorsing brands and in the front, right? So they paid for us to be in the front, but there was none of us in the back. And then they preyed on us to buy the product, but there was none of us making the product. And I felt that I needed to step out to create a focus on the opportunity of getting more of us involved into this industry than just being consumers. And I figured, hey, if someone focused in on it, then that number would change. And that was solely really the reason was I just didn't like the imbalance. And I was tired of our people being consumers and not understanding that if your hoop dreams don't come to fruition, that doesn't mean your career is over in sports.
Right.
I mean, I'm probably one of the more successful non-athletes in sports.
Absolutely.
Because my shoes have been on every NBA floor, baseball stadium, football stadium, multiple Olympics, you know, and so I just want to show kids that grew up like we did, man. It's like you got other options.
Yeah, I agree. One, I want to thank you for donating the sneaker design sessions for 10 kids for our program through Black Santa and LA's Best. I think, you know, that's extremely important. Tell us why is it important to create programs for the youth at your academy?
We only see what we become, man. We become what we're exposed to. And if we're not exposed to more options, then we'll feel like we don't have any. And so for me, it's important for me to reach kids at the same point when I fell in love with art. And then I had to learn what design was because it's two different things. And so the sooner we can reach kids to give them the visibility to what other career options are, then they'll start to consider it as an option. And so a lot of what we do is really just tapping back into these kids that were just like us. So I never forgot where I came from, and I never forgot I never had those experiences. I never had anybody come to me and say, hey, this is my career and this is what I do. You know, I grew up Famous Amos grew up a few doors down from me, but I just thought dude just like cookies. Like I didn't know he owned a company, right? So I didn't know what an entrepreneur was. Like
Right.
the entrepreneur in my neighborhood was a drug dealer, man. So that was the only entrepreneur I knew. And so it was that either play ball or push rocks, really. And so I didn't know any other options. And so my push has been to give kids the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Yes, you may see the guys on TV doing their thing, but there's other options behind them that allow them to be on TV and do the amazing things that they're doing. So I just want to push my industry to not look at us as just consumers. There's more to us than that. And if we start believing there's more to us than that, then they'll start understanding like, hey, okay, we need to bust the door down. Because my mentality is you crack the door, I'm tearing the door down.
That's right. So, sorry, to the kids out there, the message is opportunity comes, tear the door down, right? Don't be afraid. Dreams are free. People will join you in your dream. You wish it, you dream it, it'll come true, right?
That's right.
Dwayne, I want to thank you. I also want to put you on the spot. You know, UWish is a multicultural platform for multicultural storytellers. I think it would be amazing if UWish kind of collaborated with you to tell your story in a book, in an animation. I think, you know, just your whole journey would be something that, you know, we would love to do. And I'm sure the kids out there for LA's Best and Solar Impact would love to be a part of, you know, reading it and being inspired, especially knowing that there's a pathway to success and there's a business inside the game and sneakers.
Yeah, bro. I know a brother who's an illustrator from Englewood, matter of fact.
Oh, cool. All right, done. There it is. Done. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for participating. Do your research. Opportunity knocks, kick the door down. Thank you, Dwayne Elvis.
All right,
Good luck with everything you're doing. God bless.
Thanks. You too, bro.